Okay, so this time around in this video I want to try to make a point cloud renderer. So let's make a nice prompt. So let's try something like this. I want it to be my programming assistant. When you suggest changes to the code, they should be as minimal as possible. Also suggest 1 or 2 ways to test the code. And let's see what happens when we send that. Okay. And I want to build a point cloud renderer in Python. Can you suggest how to get started? Let's try that. So I was already familiar with this VTK, but I don't know about PyVista, so we'll have to look that up. And let's let it run to completion. Okay, so here we are. First it wants us to install PyVista and then create a Python script to render a basic point cloud where we generate 1,000 random points. We use PyVista to turn that into a point cloud data type. Then we use PyVista to plot it as well. And to test the code, you can test with different number of points and verify that the render still works correctly. Test with points generated from a specific shape or pattern. That's also something we want to do. So let me read about this PyVista before we move on. So actually, if we compare to the official documentation how they would do a point cloud, is actually a little bit different. But let's just try and see what happens. So we'll make a main, and we will copy paste, and that should be fine. Let's try to run that. Of course we need to install it. Now it's installed. Let's try to run. Okay, so it worked. We have, just ignore that. We have some points in a randomly generated in the cube. And now let's try something else. Let's try to say that points, actually let's say Vice is, excuse me. And the thetas is some, why does it keep suggesting something very annoying? Okay, so Vice is that. Lua snippet, why am I getting a Lua snip? Whatever. Thetas is that. And then the points should, let's say that we also have a radius, which is 10. And then we have points is 10 times, not 10. But radius. And what has it done here? Yeah, so it has taken just the polar coordinates. I don't know why it transposed it, but let's just go with that. So let me do this. So now we have some points that are hopefully like randomly on the sphere. Let's try to run that. And there we go. Looks pretty correct. Okay. Maybe for fun we can change this to be also something random, just to see what happens. Didn't like that. What's the problem? Operands cannot be broadcast together with shapes 1000, 1003. And then how is it you do you do that? So now it's on a sphere, but with some random radius from 0 to 100. Let's just try one more thing like that. Now there should be a hole in the middle. It's a bit hard to see. What if we make it like that? Okay, anyway, that's nice. Let's try to get it to do something. What if we want points that are uniformly, it's not a word, uniformly distributed on a sphere. So now it's just randomly generating the angles. This is what we already did. So it will just give us something like this. So this was quite nice. I mean, it's just using some library, I guess. So it's not really teaching us anything. But if we need a point cloud renderer, now we got one. So I guess the next thing is to ask it for some interesting data. But let's let it finish. Okay, it's quite good at giving these test suggestions. So that's nice to know. Yeah, so is there any test data from, I don't know, we can use, let's just try this. I don't know how to phrase it. Okay, great. So there are apparently built-in things. Those like a sphere and a cylinder and whatever is not that interesting, but I noticed that they also have something like this. Like a 3D model of St. Helens, the mountain. So let's try to do that instead. And then we let's say and it wants me to use St. Helens. That's very Very interesting. Let's get the points then. Can we just do points? This is similar to what it did here, but apparently undefined name mod. Okay, so Pyflex is has gone nuts. Let me comment all this and all of this, and let's try to run that. Okay, we get a nice plane. That's not what I expected. Let's have a look at this example again. Mesh, warp, biscalar, elevation. So apparently because we need to say down here, it's the warped we want. Okay, so when you load this model, there is a lot of data stored apparently, one of them being the elevation. And it's not encoded into the points right away, so you have to do this thing. Let's change the settings a little bit to make it look better. First of all, can I just do that? Okay, render points as spheres. I wonder what else is possible for this add mesh. So now we have to actually look at the documentation. API reference. Plotting API. And it's the add mesh, right? It does not have that. So we need to look at the plotter. And this one should have an add mesh. Okay, there's a lot of stuff, but we have render points as spheres. Let's have a look at, oops. Let's have a look. Let's try the wireframe just for fun. Okay, it doesn't really work as for a point cloud. That's fine. How does it look like this? Is it just the squares? Yeah. So we definitely want them as spheres, and we want them slightly smaller. Let's say just 2. Okay, great. So that's fine. I wonder if you can do a heat map for this, or like a color map. There is a color map option, so let's try this one. Kissed Earth. That did not do anything. Extract surface, triangulate. Maybe if I remove the color, that would make sense. Okay. So that's great. Let's just have a look at what other examples there are. Probably it's in, no, there's an examples. So we have a globe, we have a turbine blade, something, cache, cells. Okay, so there's something in here. And presumably this has St. Helens. Let's see, Helens. So what if we try this one, the bunny? Interesting that. Okay, here we go. And now there should be download St. Helens somewhere down here. And St. Helens. There's a spider. There's a puppy. There's prostrate. Let's download the owl. I had some suggestions. Download. Anyway, so download owl. It did not. Because there's no elevation. So let's just try points equal. First of all, let's move this one up here. Let's comment it out. Let's do that. All right. Cool. It's hard to see. It has a lot, like a ton of points. So maybe if we do this decimation, it will look a little bit better. So we have the model, then can we decimate it and like say remove half the points? No, invalid syntax. That's just wrong. Something wrong with my linter for sure. Okay, didn't like that. Let me do something else. Let me see what is this points. Actually, let me print the type of points and then just exit. And now I should just... Okay, so it is kind of a NumPy array, but some internal version of that. Let's try the shape. Okay, but since it's a NumPy array, I should be able to do like this, like let's say every 10th point. Okay. Still a lot of points. But okay, there's a million points. So let's say every 100 points. So we only have like 10,000. And let's make it slightly larger. Okay, I'm just playing around with it now. Not sure if there's any point to it anymore. Let's just, for the last thing, let's see, do one more example here. Frog. Let's do the gears. Why not? Let's keep this. I know it's not the the nicest code, but we'll do something like this. Amazing. So here we probably shouldn't decimate it like that. Okay. Okay, one more example. Foot bones, embryo, dragon, cow. Let's try the bunny, why not? The gears was not that interesting, I don't mind moving that. Yes. All right, I think that's gonna do it for this video. So just one more experiment with ChatGPT, and I will see you in the next one. Actually, I spoke too soon, so I thought, okay, this gray thing is not that interesting, and I was too lazy to look through the documentation, so I just said, can you make the rendering look a bit more interesting? For example, adding a color map based on the points set value. And then it gave me some code, so let's see what happens. So what we do is we extract the set values, we normalize them to go from 0 to 1, and then it's a bit hard to read. Can I do like that? Then I create a color map from matplotlib, and then I extract the colors like this. And this last bit is apparently convert RGBA to RGB, and then we have to do something a little bit like this. ChatGPT says it has to be like so, and then when we plot it, it has to be the point cloud as spheres with some size, and this thing clearly doesn't work, so we'll say scalars equals colors, and then we can try it. And that didn't work because this thing doesn't, let me see. Okay, so it's complaining about something is deprecated, and then it's complaining about this line. So let's see if Copilot was smarter than ChatGPT in this instance. And it was actually. So this is wrong. It has to be just point cloud and then colors equals colors. All right, and that's it. Now see you in the next one.